Would you please welcome Patrice Chéreau?
Good evening. I think it's quite a regular appointment now in the Ciné Lumière. I think it's the third time I'm introducing one of my films. And it's also an appointment with you, Paul.
Merci.
And, I'm always very, very happy to be in London and always very happy to be here. This film is based on a very beautiful short story by Joseph Conrad. Usually the few people have read this short story because it's hidden in a book tale from Unrest, I think. And I read it once by chance, just because one day I was in holidays and I didn't have anything to read. And I went to a bookstore in the south of France, and I discovered that it was just released the complete short story by Conrad. And I start from the beginning, and when I arrived to the return, I thought immediately that could be a beautiful film. Then I stopped thinking that because it's impossible to read a short story only thinking of the film you will make. So there's a beautiful description of this man. You will see what happens. There is also an incredibly enigmatic description of this woman, of the wife, and there is a surprising ending. I won't tell you the ending. You will see it, I hope. So I enjoy the film, and I will, as usual, I will be here afterwards for a small Q&A. If you have some question, I will be delighted to answer. Thank you.
But I want to ask Patrice, first of all, about the short story by Joseph Conrad. You mentioned at the beginning, Patrice, that many people may not know this story, which is in Tales of Unrest. The story, I mean, the film is very faithful to the story, but the story itself is very much the man's story, isn't it? The woman is in shadow an awful lot of the time in the story.
Well, it's about the man. Yes, it's all is all in his head. Is all what happens when he discover the letter at the beginning, and when he came back to his house and discovered everything. And the incredibly interesting thing by Conrad is how this man collapses, how this brain explodes. It's like an atomic explosion in the head of somebody. It's not anymore about adultery or infidelity, but it's really about the collapsing of a world. If this woman could do that, that means that there is no rules anymore, there is no laws anymore. It's a beautiful description. And well, the woman is not in the shadow. The woman doesn't speak. That's incredibly amazing. But at the same time, when she speaks, she said so surprising things. For example, he says in the short story, he says, "After all, I love you. I loved you." And she said, "I couldn't guess it. I couldn't know it. I couldn't." And then he answered, "Why do you believe I marry you?" And she said, "I have imagined many things, a lot of things." So, and then she said this incredible line we have in the film: "If I had known that you loved me, I wouldn't have never come back." Mm-hmm. And probably for this line, for this sentence, I wanted to make the film. Because I wanted to understand. I wanted to understand, to open this enigma, to discover what happened in the head of this woman. Mm-hmm. And also, you know, I think it's possible. It could be possible in 1897 to write a novel and to not giving even a name to the wife. Yeah. And being silenced all the time, but here I thought it was absolutely impossible. I wanted to treat. I wanted to talk about the two persons.
You not only give her a name, but also you bring in the Thursday evenings that they're so famous for, which are referred to in the novel, aren't they? But you don't have the experience.
No, we don't see it. When she appears in the novel, she appears like a poor thing, like in black with a veil, and coming back from this, having made this terrible thing to leave the house forever and to come back 3 hours later. So we thought, Anne-Louise Trividic and I, my scriptwriter and I, that we needed to know her before. That it couldn't be the first appearance of her, and we needed to know how she was before in this world, quite well, at her place, very, probably exactly as arrogant as his husband, and because we didn't want we didn't want a victim. She's not a victim, you know. She's victim from herself, but not. Well, she's not a victim, and we want to know her more before. That's why we wrote this the dinner of the Thursday, the first Thursday.
And the second Thursday is something which also is not in the original story.
That's true. No. There is a lot of things there not in the story, you know. Because because we wrote the answers of the wife, we needed to change the question of the man. Of course, it didn't suit anymore, and we changed. Not only we were not writing. We haven't written only a part for a woman, for a good part for an actress, but also we needed to change the nature of the couple, the nature of the marriage. And the second dinner is not in the novel. They talk about this dinner, and of course I thought it was interesting that I think he says tomorrow is a Thursday, and we don't. But in the short story it's only one evening and one night. But I think the husband says, I think in the novel, what should we say to our guest? Because it's impossible to avoid, it's impossible to cancel Thursday. Thursdays has to be.
Another thing you have as well is the complicity with the maid, which Gabrielle has. That was also something that was
because following Conrad, we wrote slowly a huge monologue of the husband, because he wants to understand everything, and because he doesn't understand everything, he makes the question and the answers. His most frequent line is to say, "Don't tell me anything. I will guess. I will imagine. I will tell you what happened," and of course he's talking a lot, and we needed as well her monologue, and we needed a person to talk. We needed, and few things she cannot say to her husband. She needed another person, and the maid and the servants are in the short story, and they are all women. That is because that's what Madame Mrs. Hervey wanted, only woman, and that makes also the husband in the novel angry, because he cannot know exactly what they have in mind.
And when you showed the script to Isabelle Huppert and to Pascal Gregory, did you encourage them or discourage them from reading the Conrad original?
Well, to Pascal I could say read the book. That was easy. And to Isabelle I said, please don't read the book. It's useless to give to an actress a book where she doesn't speak. You know, it's totally useless to provoke this kind of disappointment. So, but she waited. She was very brave, and she waited. I told her the story, and she trusts me. And she waited, and she received the first script. The first script wasn't very good, and she wasn't talking that much. But she waited, she trusts me. She said, well, I trust you. When she read the first script, she says, I'm sure it will improve.
Did she read the story finally?
I don't think so.
No?
No, I don't think so. She doesn't need any more.
No.
No. I don't think so. No, it's different, you know. No, I don't think so. She hasn't read it.
Mm. Now,
she's doing so many films, you know. She hasn't time
to read.
To read. She's already she was already 5 or 6 scripts ahead.
Yeah.
So. That's the famous question that many people ask me, and sometimes difficult to get rid of it. No, it's okay. It's okay. I have the answer already prepared. First of all, I'm totally schizophrenic. So when I'm doing theater, I'm doing only theater, and when doing a film, I'm doing a film. I'm not mixing both. Obviously, there is a level in me where both are mixed. Is only not the way I'm working with actors, but probably, maybe, if I may, if you allow me to say so, that the knowledge I have about actors, and that I learned from the theater. After that, reading a book like that, reading a short story like that, I thought immediately about a film, because I'm able to write films. I'm not able to write a theater play. That's not my job, just that. I'm not writer. You can, when you are director, when you're directing a film, you can work on the script, because the script in a way disappears totally, is dissolved in the film. But you are not a writer. I'm not a writer. So, and then I disagree totally with that. It couldn't be a theater play. It couldn't be a theater play. You think that it could be a theater play for 3 reasons. Because most of the time we are not going outside. You have the impression that this is one set, which is totally wrong. Because we have 3 sitting rooms, a staircase, an atrium, an outside door, a hallway, and the kitchen in the basement. That would be difficult to make it in the theater stage, probably. And then you have the impression of that because it's suffocating, the clothes. Sometimes people say, but it's so suffocating, this seems to be theater, which means it's a very terrible idea of the theater itself. And then sometimes, because I know that already from many, many interviews, sometimes the people say, no, because it's very long dialogues. But the very long dialogues, honestly, I love it in films. Not that much in theater, but in films I think I'm always happy when they talk a lot. And the actors are very happy too. So I think all the question in this story, I try to resolve it, to answer with the means of the cinema. With the black and white, with the slow motion, with the frame, with the movement of the camera. So, in other words, I think really I tried to make a film.
Merci beaucoup.
But I knew someday, while I was writing the film, preparing the film, I knew that this question could arrive. And I thought that I was so sure. Before 10 years ago or 15 years ago, even when I made Queen Margot, I would be very depressed if somebody tells me, you are making theater, you are never... Because many people said, you are not able to make a film, a proper film. You are only a poor theater man lost in the world of the cinema. And now that I'm a little more secure, I'm a little more sure at what I'm doing at cinema, I accept, I love the idea of, how you said, flirting?
Yes.
Flirting a little with the theater, and allowed people like you to ask me that question. She tells it. She said it. She gave the answer in the film. She said, I stopped there or I came back because what this other man is asking me, it's too much. And I have not enough with my legs, with my bones, with my arms to grab it and to accept it. It was too much. I think she made a terrible thing. She made probably a beautiful thing for her, because she said I was very happy. The second time I was happy is when I wrote the letter. And she left forever. And after 3 hours, she didn't come to the, she wasn't to the appointment with her lover. She came back. Why she came back? Because it was too much, because he thought she couldn't have strength. She felt not strong enough to do it. And then when she comes back, probably she spent the whole time of the film to understand what she did. Because probably it was emotionally or instinctively to leave. To leave, it was a decision, but to come back, it was probably something happens on the corner of a street, and she comes back. There is no reason. But then she understands that those kind of things, to leave and to leave a letter and to come back, she won't do it that another time. She will be there forever now in this house, and she understands that maybe it's better for her. That is the terrible thing of the film. When she says, if I had known that you loved me, I wouldn't have never come back, that means that I came back because I know there is no love in this house. Because you don't love me. There is no love. In the meaning that love doesn't inhabit here, so I can come back. It's safer.
The technical detail of the fact that he's using a basin, like a jug-and-ewer thing, and they've got water. That he washes with a basin, but they have running water. And the maids have lamps, but they have electricity. Is this perhaps a comment on the age? Because the film is set in 1912, I think.
Yes, more or less.
So that it's kind of...
Nobody told me exactly the date, but
no.
It probably is around that.
Take it from me.
Yeah.
And that maybe that this is something to do with the move from the 19th century world to the 20th century world, maybe. Is that right?
Well, this is a long discussion, but I think there is a time, it was a time in the houses when you had the electricity and also the gas. Mm-hmm. It was double. Yeah, I know. When I was young, when I was a little boy, I'm not so young anymore, but when I was a little boy, I had still in my house in the 50s, in Paris, still had electricity, of course, but still in two rooms, still the gas.
Yeah.
Which made this a little with this kind of light we try to find again, like greenish, you know. Mm-hmm. That's it.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, for a long time, I always, first of all, as every director, I think my dream would be to make a film in black and an old film, the whole film in black and white. But then I've seen sometimes many films who are using both, and I felt it always incredibly interesting. My first idea, as soon as I started to write the script, was to start, which I'm doing, I did, to start in black and white with sound, and to carry on immediately as soon as he read the letter and the decanter breaks on the ground, in color but silent. What we did exactly. And then of course we wrote this flashback of the dinner, and a flashback in the middle of of a section in black and white. I thought it was right to put it in colors. Then it's a little like in music, you know, if you have, I couldn't accept the idea to have black and white only at the beginning. Black and white at the beginning was very convenient for making better cinema, because if you have in the street of Paris, in the empty street of Paris, people in color with the black and white, you have immediately a stylization, you have immediately a style, and not a TV film, you know, that was. And then I try to see if it was possible to use black and white again. And I'm using it just only we're using it both when she comes back. She's in black and white and he's listening in color. And then we are using it in a scene in the small sitting room. And then for the rape at the end. The rape is absolutely on purpose, because at that, I don't want to make it too spectacular, you know. I was interested in hearing the shout of both, or the breath, the heavy breath of both, and I thought, I on purpose, I put a distance on that, using in another way the black and white, because it's black and white and silent, and music only. So I tried to find a system. The idea of the film was immediately in the first days I worked on the script with Anne-Louise, was immediately to make a very stylized film, to look for an experimentation, very formal. That was my wish. And then, of course, because we're joking a little with the silent films, you know, the idea came to write things on the screen. At the end, this famous line of Conrad, who finished the story, he never came back, he never returned, because I looked the subtitle. It was the only possible way of giving you the information that he never came back. It is, if I don't write it on the screen, you need to have 10 minutes more of script, totally useless, showing his new life somewhere. I'm not interested in knowing what he does. He never came back, that's it. And then, if I had chosen this solution to make 10 minutes more about his new life, I would be forced to write on the screen 2 years later, for example. So something has needed to be written. And of course, I felt immediately that it would be interesting to have more. We have Thursday, or the Thursday before, or next Thursday, or the next morning. But then I thought it would be interesting to joke a little, or to play, to game a little with the silent film and writing lines we don't hear. And honestly, I'm quite happy when I see the rester, stay, with the exclamation mark, very big. There is something which interested me. And maybe I like it more than, I have the sound. I cut it, but I had it. And I feel it's more interesting to read rather to hear. That's it.
He never came back. For example, the maid, or you didn't have to have it.
I'm sorry?
You could have had someone saying that he never came
No.
back.
I felt it wasn't interesting. I like it to write it. It's much more, you know, when you read it's literature, of course, but when you read the novel, the short story, and you see the last line, he never came back, full stop. I was shocked, and I feel it.
The man.
Yes, but then as soon as he reads the letter, he stops talking.
Yes.
And he doesn't have any point of view anymore.
Yeah.
So for that, he stops, and then the real story starts, you know? You should ask to Isabelle Huppert herself what she thinks about. I think famous actresses are exactly like any other woman in the world. They don't want to get older. like me also. So, first of all, don't have the impression that I haven't written a part for of 30 years old here. She's older. I think the two characters, Pascal and Isabelle, are not joking that much with their age. They're acting very mature people, and it's a story. It's not a story about teenager. So I think she is not cheating with the age.
Women, anyway.
Yes, but I don't know what the people do at that time. I'm making a film for today. So I'm interested in people from today. I'm interested in two different things. Of course, at the beginning, to recreate a time. But then the key of the film is not that time, is not in the beginning of the century. I'm not interested in the beginning of the century, except that rich people, very wealthy people, are more beautiful at that time than today. But if not, it's a story I don't like. I was about almost to say I hate. No, I don't hate, I'm sorry. But I don't like when the people say about this film at that time. It doesn't have to do with that time. Or people say, yes, it's the social laws, the social rules of that time. No, it's about a couple from every time, all the time. It's about how to be married. What does that mean to be married? What does that mean to live with somebody? And I'm talking from today. So if they want to marry when they are 40, that is their business. I don't care.
Say? Yeah.
It's normally what a music in a film should do. I have a huge, real luck here in this film because of the Italian co-production, they introduced me a very good Italian composer, Fabio Vacchi. Fabio Vacchi is a composer from today, is 55, I think, and he has made a lot of things, symphonies and concerti, and beautiful job because it's also a modern music. It's also a music from today. And I asked him to work on the film, but he was sometimes very slow, and he make only few pieces. He made the piece at the end. He made this Russian song at the second dinner, which is orchestrated at the end, and he make also a beautiful solo of violin in the staircase. And then, because we needed a lot more music, and I wanted this responsibility of the music in the film, I use a lot of things he made before already. And one funeral march, beautiful, which I use when the servant is bringing the light in the staircase at the end. And of course, it was a very rich material, and we had this material at the very, very beginning of the editing, and we were able to edit the images on the music. Sometimes we are doing the contrary, you know. Sometimes you show to the composer the film already edited, and he's working, and he works. But here it was interesting, very interesting to follow the rhythm and the pace of the already written music, because it works very well with the images. I remember the first day when I put the image on the music on the image, when Jean discovered the letter, and suddenly I felt it reminds me a very beautiful use of the music, like Bernard Herrmann music in Hitchcock film, you know, and I was very happy. I was always very happy in the editing room with this music.
Did you have moments when you suppressed the music deliberately, as you playing with the sound, in other words, as you did with the images, and feeling that perhaps the image would carry the emotion better without the music? Were there times when you did that?
Well, I don't know. I try to make things I never made before. So I try to use the music in a quite different way. Sometimes more emotional, and sometimes the music tells more than the words. Sometimes, no, it's the contrary. I try to, many times I wanted to try to suppress, to leave the words and to put the music and to replace with the music.
Mm-hmm.
No, the way you are choosing the actors is complicated. Is never as simple as that. We discuss about the script with my screenplay writer. We discuss about the script, and I thought I wanted to work with her since a long time, because I know her since more than 20 years. And I thought it was time, I need to work with her. I think she's a very good actress, and if she thinks that I'm a good director, we have to work together. But I wasn't looking for an occasion. But suddenly, reading this short story and working on the script, I thought maybe that could be a possibility. But even if you know, the possibility of having Isabelle Huppert or Anne-Pascale Grégory, because it's the same, even if you have this idea in mind, you are not writing for them. Because if you write for an actor, you are rewriting something he already did. You know, you are writing something you have seen in other films. When instead, I just wanted from her, I wanted to see from her something I never saw before. And that was my job every day in the because Isabelle is a very, very good actress, but she has no difficulty at all to play. She can play everything, and it's easy for her. And so I try I try to make the job a little more difficult than usual. Well, we knew that she will probably play the part. If an actor is able to, we never know it. We have to check on the set, and sometimes we have surprises, good and bad. This time I had two very good surprises, but of course we have to the same for Pascal. Pascal and Isabelle, it was exactly the opposite situation. With Pascal, I worked a lot. We make 4 films and 4 theater plays. And with Isabelle, I never worked before. So the 2 positions are exactly the same amount of advantages and of bad things, you know. One, you know him too much, and the other one, you don't know him enough, her enough. So, but at the same time, you need to be surprised. For the both, you have to think, I want from her or from him something I never seen before. Of course, with Isabelle, because she made so many films, and she's making 3 films a year, so it's a little more difficult to find it. But if you fight well, if you push hard, it can succeed. I am. I have a huge admiration for him. I am, of course, and of course I read many novels. I read many things, and I would love long time ago. I would love to make a film about the secret agent with a beautiful novel, but the film is already made. So and Heart of Darkness, of course, everybody wanted to do that. Orson Welles wanted to do it, and finally Coppola did it as Apocalypse Now. And
But
I cannot say that I just discovered this tale. I just discovered this text, this story, and I started immediately to work. You know, I read it in June or July 2003, and I finished. In 1 year later, we finished the film. So there is probably, certainly, of course, something in Conrad who touched me deeply, and it's a beautiful literature. Really, I cannot say else.
Could I take the question a bit further then and say that because the story really is not typical of Conrad, it's not,
No, at all.
not one that you think of as it's very close to Henry James in certain areas, and even sort of prefiguring the dead of James Joyce, there's a certain parallel.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I wonder when adapting it, were you conscious of other streams of modernist literature, if you like, modernist literature, of other literature around that? I'm going to say the dread term at the time that we were talking about, but I didn't mean to get trapped into that. But that kind of the birth of modernism, so to speak, and the themes that were coming out in Ibsen, in Strindberg, and in the stories of James and
you think about, but you can think about, you can dream about it, but it is quite different of Henry James. Mm-hmm. And there is something so peculiar in this story. The way he's writing, describing the crisis of this man, that is totally only in this narration, you know, only in this story. If you give the example of The Dead by Joyce, which is a beautiful story as well, beautiful short story as well, and an incredible, beautifully filmed by Huston, the last one, and who helped me a lot here. Not because I wanted to do the same, but because I was able to think that somebody did it. It was allowed to make this kind of cinema, you know, and but at the same time, it's written totally differently.
Although again, Huston faced the same problem that you had, which is that the last section, in the case of The Dead, the last few paragraphs are unfilmable. They have to be spoken. They have to.
Exactly.
You have to hear them.
Yeah.
And
no, The Dead. There is a relationship, of course, between the Return and Henry James and Joyce.
that may be Henry James or Joyce.
Yes, maybe.
Yeah.
And no, I don't know. I try only this. The reading of this story provokes me only a need, a envie. How you say that?
A desire, a need.
A desire of cinema, of film. So you're in that case, in those cases, you are not looking for another literature, but you are looking for example in the cinema, you know. And when I was very despaired in the shooting time, which it happened, I remember that I thought always of The Dead, but the film of John Huston was incredibly beautiful, and not for copying it, but just to putting myself under the protection of this film, because I thought those kind of story could be made in films. It's difficult to answer because I have no possibility to know where the people laugh tonight. I don't know. That was the question?
That was the question,
yeah.
I think, yeah.
I don't know. But I'm getting used to it, you know. I know that my films are very intense, and people sometimes they are laughing because it's funny. And sometimes I laugh a lot when I'm making my films. Then usually the audience doesn't laugh anymore afterwards. But But I'm getting used to it, you know. I remember a screening in New York of the Queen Margot, which wasn't particularly funny, where the people were dead were laughing to death. So I was despair, but it happens.
Yeah. Well, people laugh sometimes to relieve tension, don't they?
But there is some funny things. Not a lot, but. Oh, that's too difficult to answer because the story is that he finds the letter.
Yeah.
So I couldn't imagine another story, you know.
Yeah.
If she doesn't find the letter, if she's already back.
Yeah.
No, I think those kind of people knows exactly on what time they are able to put a letter because they know exactly when the husband is coming back. And no, I don't know.
Yeah.
But maybe it's new from that day, that she says exactly what she thinks. She's totally, in a way, totally sincere, even if she hurts him. She's exactly the opposite of him, because he's lying and is denying totally what he feels, and is concealing his distress, he's concealing his despair. Try to conceal.
There is a
But
moment.
then at the same time, she says exactly what she thinks at the moment where she thinks that. And she's really honest, and she speaks about sex, she speaks about everything clearly.
There is a moment in the film where she throws back one of his thoughts that he's expressed at the beginning of the movie. When he's walking home, he talks of Gabrielle as not being just any woman. And then later on, when she's talking to him, she says, "You just want any woman." And so she is actually throwing back at him a thought which clearly he hasn't expressed at some point. So I hope that's part of the misunderstanding between the two people. We could clearly go on all night, or you could go on all night. I may have to get to bed. But meanwhile, this film comes out, thanks to Artificial Eye, in November, I think. Is it
17th.
17th of November.
On Friday, 17th of November.
Yeah, and we know that Jean doesn't come back, so don't expect Gabrielle 2 immediately. But meanwhile, please thank Patrice Chéreau. Thank you.